Welcome to the Rebecca Panapinto Project. Today, I am very excited to host Justin Swagler. Justin is the worldwide head of physical retail at AWS, where he leads the global strategy and thought leadership for physical retailing. Justin has over 15 years of consumer packaged goods, retail, and strategy experience spanning innovation strategy, retail operations, product development, and executive leadership. He is passionate about shepherding organizations to strategically innovate and reinvent consumer experiences. Justin holds an undergraduate degree from the University of Illinois and an MBA from Kellogg School of Management. We had an amazing conversation today that really paints an incredible picture of how a strategic relationship with AWS can transform retail customer experiences. Enjoy the show. Justin, welcome to the show today.
It's great to connect. Good to see you again.
Likewise, we had your peer, Justin Hahnemann, on the show recently. Now we get the Swagler version of Justin. So I love it. Super excited to continue the conversation about what AWS is doing in retail.
Yeah, same as well. I mean, we have a lot that we have going on. The industry's constantly evolving and changing, and we're always looking to how we can continue to innovate and drive change within the consumer industries.
Yeah, we spoke a lot in the recent episode I did on the Amazon front about supply chain and retail. But with your world and your focus, you're on the physical side of retail, which is also extremely important, especially for in-store customer experiences. You think of groups like Whole Foods, for example. So give us a little taste of what your day-to-day looks and some of these innovations that you're most excited about.
Yeah, I mean, in the space of physical retail, right, it is evolving. I mean, 70 to 80% of retail sales are still happening in physical stores. And this is across geographies, across segments. Some it's even higher percentage of that, right? So it's a dynamic environment, particularly, following the pandemic where, during that time, there's so much investment on e-commerce and digital channels that organizations and retailers are re-looking at their stores, right, as destination centers, as experience centers. Because I think the latest statistics that I remember is like 70 or so percent, and this is across generations, are focused more about the experience, right? We still go to stores because we love the touch and the feel. I want to be able to see the product, try it on, own that journey. But the big focus right now is that unification of the journey. When you start online, how do I continue as a consumer? How do I continue as a retailer to delight that consumer at every touch point along the journey? And what are the technologies that are critical to support even the staff and the operations to be able to do that as well? So, we're talking with a lot of retailers that are across the spectrum on that journey as you think about, first, the basic migration of cloud, right? How do I start to bring cloud in? How do I move things from on-prem into the cloud environment and getting that going? But as you continue and progress on there, as we think about it with physical retailing, right? We look at balancing cloud versus edge and how do I manage the applications and the technologies across those systems? How do I think about point of sale, right? That's a foundational aspect in physical stores, right? To be able to sell as a commerce. And so bringing in more cloud-based capabilities, unification of data and systems across operations, across the stores, and then continuing to add on advanced applications and capabilities. There's a lot happening in computer vision and IoT within that space. And then we're starting to see more as we think about workforce and workforce optimization, right? With labor shortages, with inflation, with labor costs, all that, retailers are looking at how can I upskill the people that I have operating my stores today? And how can I make them more efficient so that they can focus on the consumer, the shopper that's coming in? If I can drive high value interactions with that face-to-face interactivity as a shopper to the employee, I can try to drive more conversion. I can really enhance that experience, which is important to them, right? So there's a wide spectrum on what we are seeing, where the trends are evolving, and where, we're talking with customers every day about evolving their business overall.
Mm. Well, while the regularity of going to a store may become less and less, and the store size may be able to shrink, it will never fully disappear. Because even though Amazon can have it next day, Some people need light bulbs right now. And you wanna be able to run to the corner store or the grocery and grab yourself some light bulbs and be ready to go. Or if it's not you physically, you think of all these people that are shopping on behalf of others and delivering those groceries to the door. There's still somebody going in the store, walking the aisles, having to collect these items that, like, pineapple is not just gonna come out of an Amazon warehouse somewhere and magically be on your door the next day and be fresh. It's not ever gonna be our life. So it will never fully go away, but how do we definitely digitize it more, make it a better experience, and streamline a lot of the operations so that groceries stay fresh on the table and light bulbs are at the ready when you need them.
Yeah, no, exactly. And we're seeing a lot of retailers start to use stores as like fulfillment centers as well, right? I order online, whether it's delivery through an aggregator, whether it's delivery through that retailer itself, whether it's buy online, pick up in store, or I'm going to get a curbside and then I actually end up going in to buy more items, right? It's still going to be important. I think as retailers look at this is how do I nudge? How do I encourage more of the up purchase, adding incremental items to the basket, right? If I'm ordering on the phone to fulfill in store, are there personalization recommendations that encourage based on the inventory in the store, based off of the staff that I have that can fulfill, based off of the purchase behavior of that consumer to be able to encourage that and then even get them into the physical environment as well. So yes, it's going to continue to be, physical locations definitely aren't going away anytime soon. It's just the types of behaviors and the types of journeys are evolving. Some consumers, yeah, I'm going to order it online. I'll get it in a couple days, or maybe I'll get it the next day. That's fine with me. But yes, you're right. There's items where I'm cooking dinner. I need these. I'm going to go to the grocery store. I'm going to pick them up, right? Oh, and maybe there's additional things that I can get in the store that I didn't think about, but that retailer has thought about me. They've hyper-personalized and they're displaying whether it's relevant ads in the store or those encouragements from the staff members because they're freed up to be able to interact with the consumers that drive that experience and drive those incremental purchases.
Mhm. I use it because you mentioned a fulfillment center, but I use especially looking through, like, what's at Whole Foods through the Amazon app as a inventory check before I even go to my local Whole Foods. Mush, for example, is a favorite
No,
overnight
exactly.
oatmeal of mine that they're always out, and so I'm like, "Let me just check before I, run over there on my way back from the light rail if there's mush in the store before I even step foot in there and grab mush, or else it's just a waste of my time." Even though I don't need it delivered, I just wanna know if I go in there or buy online, pick up in store. Huge fan of that, especially for like makeup purchases and things like that, because my skin tone is apparently a very popular skin tone. And many times I've run across Manhattan, 4 different Ulta, Sephora, whatever, to find something and they don't have it. But hey, I go online, I reserve two of the foundation I need, show up and grab it, know it's ready to go. And right there is a better customer experience. And I didn't have to wait for it to be shipped for 2 weeks and was able to just say, "Hey, inventory's in stock here. This is where I'll go."
Yeah, exactly.
I don't know that every person is fully at that level of research into what their experiences look like, and no, the models of, like, Costco, for example, are still huge for folks that need to feed a lot of different mouths, but I do appreciate that the companies that take it more seriously as a full customer experience from e-commerce to in-store to the folks that are shopping for others to be able to communicate, like, what's in stock, what's not, and give you what you need within a timely manner, so and then I love to talk about the one experience as well. I talked a little bit about this with, Justin Hahnemann not too long ago, but it's the world you actually eat, sleep, and drink these days, and I've caught few friends off guard walking into Whole Foods and just scanning my palm real quick as I exit the grocery store to be able to pay. What is that technology doing for the Whole Foods experience in the stores today?
Yeah, so the Amazon One technology is a palm-based kind of identification technology where, if you think about your shopping experience, I use my mobile phone quite a bit for payment. I don't like carrying my wallet around. I have my wallet on there, right? So when you think of a consumer behavior, right, we're used to kind of that action, whether it's pulling the card to tap, putting my mobile phone to tap. But obviously there's cases of fraud that can happen from that. So as we think about like a palm-based, right? your sole palm has so many kind of, I think of it like data points, right, that are unique to you. And so by replicating that experience, by helping you leverage your palm in a consistent fashion from a payment standpoint, as with Whole Foods, potentially with loyalty, right? So I can tie in my loyalty information and pay all through a single swipe, and that has broad application, even just beyond kind of traditional, consumer industries. You think about like with transit and airports or theaters and movie theaters and events, right? Like it starts to unlock that your palm becomes kind of your single source of truth from that technology, et cetera, right? And it was based off of many years of research to support that, not even just looking at kind of the outer layer of your palm, but even looking more deeply to really find those unique characteristics that are solely unique to you and can be much more differentiated as you look at other biometric type technologies, whether it's facial, eyes, et cetera, from there. So, I haven't seen the latest data and the performance of that from the Whole Foods business, but, we are seeing transactions and Prime membership and loyalty around that based off of the usage of that technology there.
Well, my favorite part is then it's also recorded as a receipt in your Amazon account. And so right there, I see all my Whole Foods purchases along with my Amazon purchase, and it's seamless, it's easy, and I can keep track of my own personal inventory of groceries and things like that.
Yeah.
So,
And it's been tied to our Just Walk Out technology, right? As you look at like an Amazon Go store or some other third-party retailers that have been using that frictionless checkout technology, right? Again, I have my card tied to my palm, tied to, say, an Amazon account or to this retailer account, put it there, and it, walk right in and do your shopping from there, right? So it helps create that kind of seamless experience. And that's what a lot of consumers, we were talking earlier around the connected experience, right? It's not just about connecting it, it's making it seamless. We use a philosophy as well as like channel agnostic, but session aware, right? So your experience across any channel, mobile, voice, in-store, e-commerce, etc., right? It needs to be a seamless, connected experience, but the technology needs to be aware of where you are on that journey to be able to create those recommendations or those nudges or those moments of the experience as well, right? So those are the types of technologies that support kind of that end-to-end journey. As I mentioned, Just Walk Out, Amazon One, but even when you just look at the basic kind of cloud infrastructure, right? How do I set up my environment? How do I capture the data? How do I unify and stitch that data together? And through the, numerous services that we have from a cloud standpoint, it allows customers to deploy, right? And to be able to support different elements of that to create that unified journey.
love it. Where do you see the computer vision use cases popping into these parts of the experience as well?
Yeah. Computer vision is a growing area. We talk to a lot of retailers, right, on how do I leverage the existing cameras that I have today. Many have been using cameras just for basic like loss prevention, right? Monitoring, asset protection over time. But as that technology has advanced and the cost of cameras have come down significantly, retailers are starting to look at, well, what else can I do with that data? And so we have been pushing the boundaries, obviously, with advanced computer vision and those technologies through a Just Walk Out. But with existing assets in store, we look at, footfall analytics and consumer behavior as an example. So much like online shopping, if you go to an Amazon.com or any website, retailers know what pages you go to, how long are you on there, what items you're looking at, what goes into your basket, what do you transact, et cetera. Now imagine getting that power and that data on the consumer inside the store. So now, Rebecca, I can understand what you do online. And then once I identify potentially who you are through geofencing or, logging in through your phone on there, I can connect that and understand the end-to-end kind of consumer experience of you as a shopper to help curate those recommendations, promotions, personalization, and other kind of suggestions that could be done on the journey. And so retailers are looking at understanding basic like customer count. dwell time. Which areas of the store do they go to? How long do they spend there? What does that end-to-end path to purchase look like? And then when you start to stitch that together with, let's say, computer or point of sale transactions, Justin walked past the milk aisle. He stayed there for a bit, but he didn't end up purchasing an item that was in that section, right? What can I do to encourage him to purchase that next time? Or you could start to monetize your space as well. So I notice very high traffic is happening on this end cap of the store. Could I use that to say that these brands, you need to pay a little bit more because you're getting such high traffic in that area, right? Or can I start to bring in retail media and displays to encourage behavior, to move people to cold areas of the store, et cetera? So that's kind of one area where we're seeing a lot of traction. Obviously, loss prevention and kind of more in the moment, real time, AI-driven automation around loss prevention is one area. And then the next area that we're also talking with customers is like shelf scanning, inventory, stockouts on there. So to understand where are gaps, what do I need to refill, what are things that are not fit to the planogram that I need to correct. And with that, again, I've talked about the idea of stitching data. Then you start to bring in the AI elements of that further, and then you can start to automate or improve the efficiency of tasks and assignment for your staff in store, right? So now I know that, hey, these are the 5 things that need to get done today that are most important. You can start the day that versus spending hours trying to distill through all that data information to get to that, to then drive that efficiency for your workforce, to get what's most important done, assign it to the people that need to get done, and then they can focus then onward on that consumer experience as well.
Mm-hmm. Reminds me of some edge use cases too. Edge doesn't necessarily have the visual component like computer vision, but it can be used as sensors. Think of HEB, for example, at the shelf level to be able to realize what's flying off the shelves, what's not. I'm sure there's an element of being able to go back and use that for negotiations with the people that fill the shelves. People who want the prime real estate and people who maybe haven't earned their spot on the protein bar wall yet.
Yeah.
You can actually track these things without having a camera in consumers' faces, but instead using IoT devices and just having more data points that all talk back into the whole system to get a complete 360 of understanding what's going on in the store at any given point, almost probably to a fault. There's got to be a point where this gets too far and is over analyzing. And there's a certain point, like, especially when you think you know someone, and then for me, I burn myself out on something, and then I'm not going to buy it forever. Then they got to figure out what the new hook is. But having more and more data, I don't think is ever a bad thing in being able to enhance customer experiences.
No, you're right. And our retailers are really focused on, I have data I'm getting from transactions. I'm having data from the inventory and the stocking that's coming in. I have data on, customer satisfaction or all that. The challenge, and I hear this from quite a few retailers, is that connected tissue, right? How do I bring it together? And then what the heck do I do with it, right? How can I really leverage those advanced AI, much more generative AI, and even the future of agentic to really drive that efficiency and to really add value to my organization? That's some of the crux of the challenges today, and acknowledging, setting that foundation, bringing that data in, connecting it, and then using that to really drive transformation.
What does it do for the humans involved? You think of the more a store gets smart, humanoid robots potentially in the future. What does all this mean for the store associate, the person that's even maybe shopping in the stores on behalf of other folks? What do you think their role and how they play a part in all of this transforms over time?
Yeah, it's a provocative question. I don't. We're not getting rid of workforce, right? I mean, it's the evolution of technology to enhance the workforce experience. Some of the research that I've seen is I think 86% of workforce employees want digital tools. They want to be more efficient, right? So it's about bringing them those digital tools and technologies to be able to support, to know what task I need to do, what's been assigned to me, If I don't remember how to do it, how do I get access to that information and get retrained so that I can do a better job, right? That's a lot of what we're hearing as we speak. We go and do store tours with customers and understanding the experience, those pain points. It's the enhanced capabilities to make your job more efficient, right? I mean, I use our own kind of generative tools internally that make me more efficient as I think about research, right? Understanding the industry, as I'm thinking about kind of thought leadership, right? That enhances my job. And that's what I think we're trying to do on our side is how can I enhance from a workforce and staff member standpoint to make them more efficient in those operations, et cetera.
Let's talk about one of, I think, the most positive in-store experiences that Amazon has really nailed through the Whole Foods experience, which is returns. Like, you have made me so annoyed by every other group I have to do a return with because the Amazon experience of a return is so easy. And now there's even like, I can order 3 pairs of shoes and try them for 3 days and then return them with literally no hesitation. It's no, skin off your back. Like you guys are like encouraging it because it's so easy. How have you figured out the, reduction of any kind of resistance in the return process within the Amazon Whole Foods ecosystem?
Yeah. I mean, I can't speak to some of the more metrics on some of the aspects of that, given it's a separate part of the Amazon business. But I think as you highlight a growing challenge just in general as it relates to the retail industry, right? Returns, right? Amazon has set the standard as far as the return process. And we work with customers, I think, as we look at the end-to-end journey, right? There's billions and billions that happen returns every year. And for many retailers, that adds a lot of cost, right? It gets returned back to the store. Where does it go? Does it stay in the store? Do I ship it to a different store or to a fulfillment center? What are the decisions that need to happen there to optimize kind of the pricing from that standpoint? And the AI and machine learning that supports that. But even, when you said you buy 3 pairs of shoes, right? Knowing that I can return them. A lot of retailers don't like that, right? They want to be able to make sure that you're purchasing the right thing to get that at the right time at the very beginning. And so we've deployed and we're helping customers do like virtual try on, right? To get more summarization of reviews and recommendations, right sizing, those types of technologies to support that. And then as you do the return, again, supporting the decisioning, the routing, and the inventory add back on to know kind of where that item is. And I think when you look at, I guess the broader question of like, why is it working so well is, we've built those capabilities as an Amazon.com business, right? For us in AWS, we were born from retail, from .com. So we're built for retailers, right? .com has proven and built a lot of those capabilities. And we work with customers to be able to bring those same capabilities for them as well, right? So I think we learn through testing, small experiments, proving things out, and then building it further from there, always keeping that consumer at the center, at that empty chair at the table, right? And keeping them in mind to be able to support that. And so I think retailers are able to learn from those capabilities, those experiences, and we support them to be able to bring that out as well.
Yeah, it's crazy to me that not everyone has jumped on the train so quickly because you guys have had the return thing figured out, I feel like, for a good while now. But even you think of the UPS of the world and FedEx of the world just can't nail it. I had a terrible experience recently with Apple, of all
Mhm.
people. I banged up my watch. Thankfully, I always have the insurance. So made a claim, got my new watch. In the process of sending back my watch, FedEx sent a box, but without a label and without the sleeve. So I had to sit on support's call for 30 minutes to get a label sent to me. They sent a label to me that I, of course, didn't double check because I was just like, cool, got the label, go to FedEx, get rid of this. Like, I already wanted to send it back. I have a 10-day window to get it back. And didn't double check. 3 days later, package shows up back on my door. My broken watch I sent off. They shipped back to me. Unbelievable. And what a waste of time and money. So then I got on with support again to get the correct label to send it back with a day to spare on the. It was just insane. And I was like, You guys just lost so much time and money. Me, I was just inconvenienced and frustrated. You lost so much time and money and lack of efficiency because you didn't have this very somewhat simple, I would think, process figured out. What is the hesitation? Why aren't they just going to solve this problem so rapidly if it seems like it's not something like out of reach to get solved pretty quickly?
Yeah, I mean, that's a challenge that a lot of retailers face today, right? And optimizing that and bringing in the right technologies and capabilities to support that. Our philosophy, just in Amazon in general, right? We're customer obsessed. Customer, whether it's the shopper, whether it's the retailer that I work with, partners that we work with as well, and work backward from that, right? So with that core challenge, how do we start the first step to make those improvements and to continue to kind of evolve from there to get towards that long-term vision? That's our philosophy. That seems to be working well for us as an organization.
What's your take on the best way to get feedback from the customer and consumers who experience these innovations and these, you know, different solutions that are deployed within a retail store? Because you can't send another obnoxious survey when someone walks out of Whole Foods of what did you think of Amazon One? It's not going to fly.
Yeah.
So how do you gather that data from the customer experience out of the actual client's mouth who actually was the one that lived it?
Yeah, I mean, in my past experience, I do a lot of I go in stores, right? Talking to consumers, whether it's as a retailer, whether it's through consumer research and kind of ethnographic research, helps to get some kind of anecdotes and signals as far as what's happening there. Yeah, you could do a full-blown customer survey and all that. That's great data points as well. But I think even putting yourself in the eyes of the shopper and the feet of the shopper and going through it yourself, you can uncover some kind of insights and understanding of the improvements or the changes or what's happening as technologies get deployed as well.
So think about the customer experience, the in-store, you know, day in the life of a Whole Foods shopper in 6 years from now. What's the vision? What's the dream? What do you think would be like, this is fun, we nailed this, and we have changed how people shop?
Yeah, I think the evolution it's going to be segment kind of specific, right? As you think about kind of the journey. I I don't think there's going to be a one all end all new one technology that's going to solve everyone, do everything, etc. We're I mean, if you put your again, consumer customer obsession, we all go on different journeys, right? Even if I go to a convenience store, maybe one day it's I'm fueling up and I want to get out of there. Maybe one day it's I'm fueling up, I feel like a snack. Maybe one day it's like I want, I need a drink. I want a hydration drink because I'm feeling thirsty, right? All different journeys, or even just going to the restroom, right? So different journeys require different technologies, different experiences. But there's still some fundamental aspects, right? And kind of supporting that. I think as I look at it, it's providing a fully connected experience where consumers are going to expect, you need to know everything about me, and you need to delight me every single aspect of the journey, whether it's I'm online, as I'm into the store, and all that. Obviously, not getting to kind of my Minority Report level from that standpoint, but leveraging technology in a way that it's somewhat unnoticed, but delights the consumer every single day. And giving them that choice, whether it is I want to self-checkout and I want to make it easy, whether I want a full autonomous checkout, whether I want to go through the traditional checkout from there, right? So always having the right product at the right time, the right place, at the right price and promotion, and at the right speed to be able to complete my journey and get everything that I need, and maybe a little bit extra that I didn't know that I needed as well. So I think there's a lot of technologies that can support that. We talked about Just Walk Out as, a frictionless autonomous type checkout system. Works great in a lot of environments. Some consumers, they still want the kind of traditional, I want to be able to go and have the interaction with the checkout person as well. So I think we're going to see an evolution to those types of technologies, but we're still going to have kind of, I think, the foundational, fundamental, and traditional type of experiences. But technology in the cloud, balanced with the edge, supporting that as well.
Justin, this has been such an awesome conversation. I have one final question for you around principles. And I'm curious, what is the guiding principle that you've lived by to be successful in business?
Yeah, I like to say, I mean, my broader philosophy is I use the term shepherd. And the reason I use that is I love like shepherding organizations, shepherding innovation, shepherding evolution and transformation, right? So being always focused on that consumer or that end user, whoever that is, and really pushing the boundaries to think through kind of what is possible, what could we do, even if it's way out there, like let's push that, let's see where we can go, but knowing, acknowledging that it's a step journey there. So I always live by a philosophy of like, I want to be strategic, innovative, but curious as well. And a lot of these are underpinned by a lot of our leadership principles at Amazon, right? I want to be customer obsessed. We have a high push around, diving deep, learn and be curious, and even invent and simplify, right? Innovation doesn't have to be completely way out there technologies, but taking components of different elements, stitching that together in unique ways of those existing things, that's innovation as well, right? So not being afraid to kind of try those aspects, even if it's small scale, and then continue to evolve from there. So I know that's a lot of like different components, but a lot of it is always, thinking through kind of where can we go, understanding, learning about that, and then being open to trying it out and not being afraid to fail.
Justin, this has been such an enlightening and fun conversation. Thanks for inspiring the future of physical retail and sharing all of the exciting things that you're working on with us.
Appreciate it. It's great to talk and look forward to the next time I get to see you.
Likewise. Talk soon.
All right. Thank you.